right, Jess. So we had talked about making a typical house. My house has white walls. Your house has white walls.
Yeah.
We're indie filmmakers. We can't afford paint. What tips do you have?
I mean, you can see like with my home office here, this is just a guest room
Hmm.
and my walls are really bare. So when we were just setting up for this interview, I sat down in my little frame and I was like, all right, what do I have? What can I do? And the biggest advice is pops of color.
Hmm.
And that's what we had to do when I was doing these monologues back and forth. The concept was that a character had just come home from a really horrific shopping event and they're delivering their monologue just at the front door. So, we got to play with putting some decor on the door itself near the door frame. So we had like coat racks, a little side table to put their keys. We brought flowers in, a lot of picture frames, and just something to really differentiate between the actor and the walls around them. I mean, especially when you're working with actors who are really light skin toned, and if they're gonna kind of be washed into your walls
Hmm. Right.
between, decorating your walls, but also your wardrobe choices. And, it's, you don't always have the opportunity on an indie set to have somebody in every single role. So we're so used to taking on multiple roles, especially if you're directing your own project, you kind of get in that mindset of, I know how I want it to look. And when I was going to do these monologues, I was asking all the actors for pictures of their locations. So I knew that ahead of time. I knew what their walls looked like. I knew how much space we had to work with. You don't realize until you get there and have the camera set up what it's going to look like in the frame.
Right. I'm a big fan of taking pictures when you do a set visit. But the problem is the pictures are usually on my cell phone, which has a
Right.
very wide camera, and then if you're not conscious of, oh, this place is really small, if somebody else does a set visit, sends you pictures, you're like, wow, this basement is huge, but it's not.
Yeah, we got
It's
lucky.
really not.
We got lucky with one of our actors' houses. Her and her husband had just painted the walls. So
Okay,
they had blue walls and pink walls. And
beautiful.
we just had to throw artwork around or like tchotchkes around to kind of break it up a little bit. But in that scenario, I wasn't as prepared. So we got really lucky that they just happened to have a lot of options at their house.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, people who work in set design or wardrobe are hoarders because you never know when you're going to need something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you have like a go-to grab bag or how much
Yeah.
time you allocate beforehand in pre-production for, maybe I'll use this, maybe I'll use this.
Yeah, I have some big totes in my basement of the most random stuff, and I'll look through and see what I have. And then I'll make a lot of trips to like Target, Michael's, Walmart, where I can just buy some cheap stuff, especially fake flowers are really good.
Mm-hmm.
You get live flowers, that's awesome, but then you can't use them again. So,
Right.
um,
I always find good stuff on like the Target clearance rack. I'll
yeah,
just that's one aisle I'll just walk down just for no reason. You might find something really cool that can just make something pop. I,
yeah,
right.
exactly. Colors are fun.
Colors
But
are
yeah, I
fun.
mean, my day job is the sets and props department at QVC. Before I got there, I was doing freelance whatever for a year, and I got really lucky and I fell into set design. I'm like going really backwards with this, but
No, not
I
at all. Tell us
set
about
design
set design.
because I worked in retail doing visual merchandising. So I was at PacSun in New Jersey when I was a lot younger. And then I moved to Philly and I was at Macy's for 2 years. And then I took a year off when my store closed and I knew some guys with a production company, 360 Digital Studios, who I had worked with one of them, Joel, as a production assistant on some projects. And he knew what my background was. He's like, hey, my company is doing this music video in the DC area and we need a set designer. Is that something you'd be interested in? And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. Like combining film and visual stuff. Yeah, let's do it.
That's
And
excellent. Did you ever
yeah,
think of that before then, or was it's just something that clicked in that moment?
I mean, it was definitely something that I was pursuing being freelance because like I was coming directly from visual merchandising and I wanted to break into film, but I knew it was going to be really hard to just start writing, which is what my real like passion and forte is. But yeah, I like the physical aspect of it, the creative, the design side. Like people at QVC, they know that I write and they're all like, "Well, why aren't you on the production side?" And I'm like, "You're talking about live retail television. This isn't creative writing." So, yeah, set design is a lot of fun, especially if you get to work on a variety of projects. Because I worked on a series of music videos that was set in an old barn, and we had to do an apothecary setup. I got to be on a feature film in somewhere in South Jersey, and we had to work a bed and breakfast that was very vintage looking and just tweak it for the script. But, you know, nothing is too simple. You always have to think about what could go wrong.
Always be
Yeah.
prepared.
Yes. And I got to work on a like heating and air conditioning commercial shoot. I did a college student film with Sarah Kozowski. She actually came and was the lead actress in that, and I had a lot of fun getting to make different props and design products for that, and everything adds to your portfolio. Like nothing is too small. You're always going to get experience. You're always going to learn something, no matter what. And that's my like my biggest advice is just do anything and everything. If you have the time for it, if you can afford to do it, just go learn something. Just go have fun. Just
Yeah,
help each other out.
and give it 100%.
Yeah.
I've always found that if you think something's a little small and you show up, and being on set is so special that
Mhm.
can't waste it.
Right.
Your behavior on set, and your energy and output can always lead to something else, or
Yeah.
it can, if you just kind of hang out and whatever, oh, I wanted to do lighting on this, but they have a lighting guy. It doesn't help you at all. If anything, it can only hurt you because people are watching.
Yeah, I mean that's a really big part of especially indie filmmaking is, it's no joke. They say it's all about who you know, and that doesn't necessarily mean like you're only going to get work if you know people but have no talent or vice versa. Like you can be as talented as possible, but if you're not, making sure people see you, then you don't know what's going to be next. So we've gotten really lucky, I think. Like everybody we work with has been really friendly and they just want to help each other out. And then that makes you want to help them out. And so that's why I like working with positive people.